So when you see you before us in a realized state, we comprehend what you've chosen, and we comprehend what you've chosen, how you've chosen, how you've chosen, how you've determined outcomes, how you've determined outcomes based in prior present, based in prior present. We understand two things. We understand two things. You see the wall before you. You see the wall before you. You head straight for the wall, and you head straight for the wall because it's what you expect to be there, because it's what you expect to be there. You can't imagine the way, and you cannot imagine another way. There is another way. There is another way to be the self that you truly are, to be the self that you truly are, in recognition of the world, in recognition of a world that is an altercation, that is in an altercation with its own fear, its own outrage, its own outrage, its own greed, its own determination, and its own determination to hurtle headlong off a cliff, into an abyss, made of the determination, made of the determination not to change. Here is the opportunity. Here is the opportunity. You've lived a life thus far. You have lived a life thus far in agreement to others. When you go to school, you're taught to walk in a line. You are taught to walk in a line. Perhaps hold the hand of one beside you. Perhaps hold the hand of the one beside you as you cross the street. You're instructed to learn the alphabet. You're instructed to learn the alphabet so that you have language, and make choices that you can articulate with words. And then you are taught what it means to be in a society, how to care for oneself, perhaps one's family, to be a neighbor. Nowhere in the world are you actually instructed to murder your neighbor. There may be a cult or a culture somewhere, that predetermines outcome through violence, but any act of violence we would see is actually predetermined by a necessity or a false belief that one must remedy the problem, by murdering the problem. The times you stand in are rich, unless humanity decides to hurtle itself off a cliff, and refusal to change, you have great opportunity. Underline great, enormous opportunity, to lift beyond the old. Now, when we speak of the upper room, many of you still think we're providing an antidote. We are providing an antidote, a nice place to visit, because where everybody says the right thing, and nobody ruffles your feathers, Many of you want the upper room. Many of you want the upper room to be a place for your peace, where my husband isn't angry, my children go to school, where my children go to school, where my neighbors aren't loud, where the government is one I want, when the government is the one that I want. You want your upper room. You want your upper room to resemble a department store, of carefully picked items that we would find comfortable, That is not the upper room. It is a false idea. It is a false idea of what to expect here, rising to the upper room. Rising to the upper room is shifting consciousness to a level of velocity, of truth. Underline the word truth. And in truth, a lie will not be held. And in truth, a lie will not be held at this level of truth. And at this level of truth, you cannot condemn your neighbor. You cannot condemn your neighbor. You cannot shun the one beside you. You cannot shun the one beside you. And you cannot wave a banner. Inviting others to do what you want. To do what you want, if what you want is self-serving, or born in violence, the accreditation we have as your authority, if you choose to listen to us, are the ones who have lived through much, witnessed much, seen many things, from many different perspectives, beyond the old idea of time, that you are so used used to, that you are so used to, because we have been as you, some of us, because we have been as you, some of us, and because we have known far more, and because we have known far more through incarnations elsewhere, or a level of tone, that even the physical body have known, that even the physical body you have known cannot be aligned to. We have some courage. We have some courage when we speak our truth. When we speak our truth, we are not seeking your approval. We are not seeking your approval or your condemnation. We speak to you as ones. We speak to you as the ones who may know the truth, and announce the truth, for the ears that will hear it, for the ears that will hear it. These words will fall on deaf ears. These words will fall on deaf ears for many of you, because somebody want to hear, because it's not what you want to hear. You want to be told. You want to be told that you are perfect, that you are loved, that you are not responsible for mistakes, that you are not responsible for your mistakes. And you can be the one, who points the finger at the one who points the fingers at the ones who do. None of you are without blame. None of you are without blame and without error. And we don't condemn you for this, and we don't condemn you for this. We love you anyway. Because nothing but love. Because we can do nothing but love. Because we understand you. We comprehend your choices. We comprehend your choices and all their folly, or all their willingness, or in all the willingness that you have mustered, to try to do the right thing, as best as you understood it, But the time has come. But the time has come to hold yourselves accountable, as a species, wrong-mindedness that calls violence forward, can no longer be supported, under any religion, or under any country's name, under any country's name. The violence that you have held against yourselves, outpictured against your neighbors, outpictured against your neighbors, is outpictured against the next country, or the one who is not born as you, or the one who is not born as you, a different colored skin, a different God pray to, a different God pray to, a different lineage, a prayer that goes beyond what you think, There is one God, we say. You may call it God as you wish. You may call it God as you wish. You may call it Allah if you wish. You may call it Allah if you wish. You may call it Jesus if you want to. You may call it Jesus if you want to. In fact, it doesn't matter. It is one God. It is one God, one sustained vibrational energy that you have managed in most of your ways, to put in a little box, that gives you what you think you should have. We are the chosen people. We are the chosen people. We are the only ones who will ascend to heaven. We are the righteous ones. And not the infidel, You understand these ideas. And indeed you practice them. Even those of you who say, I am spiritual, I am not religion. Look askance at the one who has a God, that you would disapprove of, It is time to grow up, everyone. It is time to grow up, everyone. And what this means is, take accountability. Take accountability for how you summon fear, how you utilize fear, how you hurl it at one beside you, how you hurl it at the one beside you, in an assumption that you have the right to do this, that you have the right to do this. You should be afraid. We should all be afraid. Let's build a new wall. Let's create a new catastrophe. That we can blame the others for. If you are blaming your fellows, you are blaming your fellows, you are accountable to that blame. You are accountable to that blame, unless you're working for good. Unless you are working for good and in truth, which means good that is not biased by your determined outcome, you will find yourself in folly. Unless you say, I am willing to change. I am willing to change. I'm willing to somebody. willing to look at how I participate in this common landscape, and how I heal, and how I heal through love, or how I fight through hatred, until you decide where you stand in this equation. In this equation, you'll be dancing on the precipice of a terrible cliff. Now we say terrible because it is not necessary to fall from it. You can look at the view, you can see what you've chosen, you can see the enormous legacy of violence that you have all been in agreement to, and indeed you can say no more. And to say no more simply means you release your agreement to the violence and every possible excuse that you could summon for its presence and being. You are accountable, everyone, one and all, to all of your creations. Your creations are everything that you see and can even imagine. You have free will. You have free will. You have great choice. You have great choice. And to say no more. And to say no more is to stop contributing the vibrational agreement to the violence you see, not through ignoring it, but through the new equation of alignment that is present and available. I am in peace. I am in peace. I operate in peace. I operate in peace. I act in peace. I act in peace. And I call peace forward, and I call peace forward. Peace is not an idea. Peace is not an ideal once it is enacted. When you say no more, you are refusing to participate in an argument and a debate about who is right or should have been right or what was right 100 years ago or 10,000. We have been there. We have been there. We can tell you no one has been right whoever threw the rock at the one they called the enemy. No one has been in truth when they have lied about their secret desire to see another harmed. No one has been right in the futile effort to pray to a God to get only what you want and forget about the ones beside you. My country, my legacy. Your idea of country is so transitional, you cannot imagine what this really means. 300 years ago, this country was not, and 200 years hence, we will be surprised if it is called by its current name. We will tell you this. The landscape that you operate in is being altered at such a radical pace that you will not be able to keep up with the shifting that is occurring in the coming decade. We say this for a reason, not to frighten you, but so that you may choose well, choose love, choose caring when you need food, and most of you do not, pray that your neighbor has a more generous heart than you often seem to have yourselves. Trust this, you are your brother's keeper. You are your brother's keepers. No one is higher than this. No one is higher than the next. Some of you are confused. Some of you are confused, mightily confused. Some of you are determined to drive into the wall to see if you can survive it, to see if you can survive it. But we promise you this. But we promise you this, humanity will survive. Humanity will survive. We have said this for some time. We have said this for some time, but in an altered way. But in an altered way. Not in the convenience you've known. Not in the convenience you've known. Not under the jurisdictions you've known. Not under the jurisdictions you've known. And not with petty arguments. And not with the petty arguments that you turn nuclear. That you turn nuclear because you cannot let go. Because you cannot let go of the need to be right. When we speak these words, Paul, when we speak these words through Paul, he is encouraged. He is encouraged. I guess I'm hearing well. I guess I'm hearing well. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. Get ready, Paul. Get ready, Paul, because we are about to teach in larger ways. Because we are about to teach in larger ways. We have been called forward. We have been called forward as a priesthood to agree to your true nature, beyond what you think you are, beyond what you think you are. Agreement is accord. Agreement is accord. We are not in accord. We are not in accord with the violence you seek, with the violence you seek, the prejudice you hold, the prejudice that you hold in the names of religion and the names of the religions that you bandy about, and a false belief that you make you better, that they make you better than someone other than you, We don't care what state you live in. We don't care what state you live in, what country of birth you have, what you pray to, or even if you pray. We care about one thing. We care about one thing, that you love one another, that you love one another, that you care for one another, in spite of the history you hold, in spite of the history you hold, in spite of the fears out, in spite of the fears you have held, in spite of the choices you have made. Love one another. Love one another. That is the decree. That is the decree. No more to what you have chosen in fear, and then choose something higher. I am in the upper room. I am in the upper room is a claim of acclamation of the God within you, to the God expressed as all manifestation, all A-L-L, inclusive of everything. When we say your names, we know who you are, what you are, how you serve. We are claiming the I am principle in an activated state, and the realization that it incurs when its alignment at the level of tones sung, the upper room is allowed its expression, its allowance. Its allowance is an act of the will that says, yes, it will be so, but it is the true self that announces itself and enacts this in fullness by your agreement. I have come. I have come. I have come. Be still and know. Be still and know. Stop telling yourself you know. Stop telling yourself what you should know, what should be, how it should be enacted, Stop stumbling over your own shoelaces. Stop stumbling over your own shoelaces, trying to find the way out the door, Lift to the higher octave of expression above the fray. Know the truth. Realize the truth in who and what you see before you, in spite of appearances. Behold, I make all things new, and aligned to the divine, that is present, has been present, but refuted and ignored in this new state. In this new state, there is no war. There is no war. No need for greed. No need for greed. And stop your petty need. And stop your petty need to be the one who is right at the cost of another being wrong. We sing your songs for you. We sing your songs for you. so that you may learn the words. And as we say these words tonight, and as we say these words tonight on the eve of change, on the eve of great change and great altercation and great altercation and great new potential, we honor you each. We honor you each in your willingness to align to the truth, even when it's not convenient, even when it is not convenient or pretty, or what you would see happen, in truth alone revealed. In truth, a lie will not be held. You will claim this if you wish with us. You will claim this with us if you wish. Behold, I make all things new. It will be so. I am in truth. I see all things in truth. It will be so. It will be so. God is. God is. God is. Thank you for your presence. Stop now, please.